Good morning. Back to the news. No more heart stuff. Although I still am wearing the heart that I got as a gift from Kelly earlier in the week. Anyway, the title that I've chosen for today is Legal Actions Pending Against Powers That Be. October surprises. Have you noticed? Last week, CNBC reported on the 43 trillion, that's with a T, dollar lawsuit filed against banksters and key politicians. The next day, two children of the senior vice president and general manager of CNBC were killed, supposedly by the nanny that had been caring for them for 2 years. Conveniently, she also cut her own throat and slashed her wrists, according to the report. Then there is the story, carried by Reuters, that Obama and Biden were criminally indicted by a citizens grand jury right here in Florida for willfully releasing classified information. There are other similar stories of pending legal action against high officials in the corporate world, including the Vatican Corporation. What does this mean? I'll be honest with you that I expected even more stuff to happen in October. And you might throw in there the engineered massive hurricane that just hit the Northeast and devastated parts of New York and New Jersey especially. But the effects are felt on a much broader area. In fact, the amusement park where I spent my first honeymoon, Seaside Heights, New Jersey, the amusement park is basically in the ocean. The roller coaster is in the ocean, and the boardwalk is obliterated almost. And there was a lot that was happening with the hurricane, but the big events really have to do with the powers that be and what's happening to them. They are being exposed all over the place. Now, I think it was September actually that the lawsuit against the church, against the Vatican, and against the churches in Canada for the abuse of Native Americans over a long period of time, stretching back over 100 years, where they were killing the Native American children in these schools in New Jersey. That's brought by, Kevin Annett, I think, or something like that. And that's filed in The Hague. And there have been other stories along that line of major indictments and lawsuits being filed. People are waking up, not just in Ireland. Iceland and Ireland too, but I meant Iceland first. I just said Ireland. But people are waking up all over the world. And the beast that has its military headquarters in the United States, in Washington, D.C., the beast is being exposed. It's the Wall Street beast. It's the City of London beast. It's the Vatican beast. And it's the political beast that has been attempting to rule over the entire world. The powers that, I shouldn't say the powers that be, because they're soon to become, hopefully, the powers that used to be, or the powers that have been. There are signs, major signs, of their impending doom. When mainstream media starts picking up these stories, there must be something happening that's a little bit different, because in the past, the mainstream media did not pick up the stories like of this sort. They were happening. There have been other indictments against the Bush administration, even trials in absentia against the Bush administration for 9/11 and other crimes against humanity. but they didn't make mainstream news. It was all alternative news. Now it's starting to break into the mainstream news that is reporting on this. I saw the list of the people that were named in the $43 trillion lawsuit. I think there were 200 or 300 corporations and well-known individuals, high-profile individuals that are named in this lawsuit. By the way, I have it up on the screen, so I'm going to just say the documents are seeking the documents regarding the lawsuit, the purpose for which is seeking remedy, legal remedy. It's one, the deceptive, coercive methods employed by mega banks to facilitate injured parties' participation in loans and mortgages, the fraudulent and illegal use of MERS, breach of plaintiff statutory rights, purposeful violation of consumer and homeowner protection statutes, processing money from unknown sources in contravention of the Patriot Act of 2001, foreclosing upon and accepting monies for assets that do not exist. The lawsuit states that there was a systemic fraud on thousands of investors concerning the mortgage-backed securities. And I'm going to stop reading there. Some of the mega banks named in the lawsuit are J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Wachovia, Citigroup, U.S. Bank, GMAC, Deutsche Bank, PNC Bank, Bank of America, Bear Stearns, and there were a couple of others on this list, and that list, this list is not even exclusive. It's a Ponzi scheme that they've been operating, and it's being exposed. Now, I find it interesting. I didn't notice this till this morning as I was looking this up. It's something that I was actually thinking about a couple of days ago, but I decided to do a couple of things about my heart instead. I just noticed that the nanny that they've accused of killing the two children slit her own wrists and slashed her own throat. And she had been caring for them for 2 years, and now the media is reporting that she had begun undergoing psychiatric evaluation within the past month and was distraught over financial concerns. Something is fishy about that to me. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. But it's too big of a coincidence to not be taken seriously. That here's the message. You allow reports of this sort on your mainstream media. There's a price to pay. And in this case, a 2-year-old, I think the little boy was 2 years old and the little girl is 6, that were killed. So just little children were taken out. And I don't believe it was by the nanny. That's, too convenient a story. Well, she did it. She was distraught. So God, no, that's not what happened. In my gut, I'm fairly certain of that. No, it was somebody connected to the powers that be that did it. And then the citizens grand jury thing, they're now going to be served notice of the grand jury indictment, a bill of indictment. They're going to be served and arraigned and then tried for their alleged crimes. And that, again, is Obama and his Vice President Biden. And then there was another article that I came across this morning as I'm looking at this thing. Bernie Sanders, who was a senator, independent senator from, I think he's from Vermont, I'm pretty sure. He fired back at after the report of 80 CEOs that published a letter in the Wall Street Journal urging America to act on the deficit and reform Medicare and Medicaid. And he fired back, said that 18 of those 80 were among those that wreaked havoc on the economy with their fraudulent practices and stuff like that, and receiving public funds to further exacerbate the condition of the economy and uh, the deficit. So anyway, these are just some of the things making headlines as we now move into November, and the October surprises will become November surprises now, as the structure of the corporate world is showing definite signs of collapse. It still looks like nothing has changed to the average person, especially the ones that pay attention to the mainstream media, but we can see from even what I've just reported that the mainstream media is being made an example of with the murder of these two children. They're being made an example of they're getting desperate, going after children and making headlines with it. Not like the Indian or the Native American children in Canada, and I'm sure other places around the world that were being vaccinated, and the vaccination was increasing the death rate. People are waking up to these things all over, and the message is clear. Even the mainstream media is wanting to get involved. Even with the thing, Reuters still reported this even after the CNBC incident. Reuters still reported that. Now, I think Reuters is actually an international British-based news media, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't look that up, but that's what my memory is telling me. But it's an international source, mainstream media source. And these things are breaking in to our media, folks. People are becoming aware of this. And people are going to start doing what Iceland did. And it's happening all over Europe. It's starting to happen in America. The New World Order is starting to show signs of absolute collapse. Oh, it's not as big as I'd like it to be, but it's there if we look. It's there that we look, that we can look at and see that the way things have always been is not the way they're going to continue to be. We can see the signs of that. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm sorry there has to be people hurt in the process, but that's karmic justice, I guess. I don't look for anything other than for everybody to come clean, but that's not going to happen without some pain being influenced. Sometimes it takes the cosmic 2x4 over the head, and the people that are getting hit over the head might start being some of the people that deserve to get hit over the head, because they have blatantly abused the public trust and blatantly abused the system for their own advantage and for their own criminal things. And reasons of national security, give me a break. The only national security that's really being breached is the security of criminal acts and criminals that are in high places that have done atrocious deeds and willed atrocious events that have been violations of cosmic law, international law, and the laws of our own countries. These people have gotten away literally with murder for years, and the gig is up. They're being exposed for what they're doing, and this is a wonderful thing. I'm glad to see it happening. There's still a lot more that's going to be coming, I'm sure. We haven't seen it all yet, but I believe that it will probably be accelerating in the days and weeks and not very many months, hopefully, ahead. Hopefully, by December, we will have even more massive breakthroughs that will indicate to everyone that justice is finally being done. And that's not an ego thing. That's just the way it needs to be, because the 3D world doesn't need to be taken out. It just needs to be transformed with higher consciousness. That's what needs to happen, and I believe it's what is happening. And we will stay attuned to events that are occurring in our world that indicate that the New World Order is not going to be what the planners of the New World Order had in mind. I leave you with these thoughts, and once again, I thank you for listening and ask you to share any of my videos that are meaningful to you so that more people can join us in the awakening process. Again, thank you. Namaste.